to be here with you tonight and to share what's been on my heart in regards to healing and us living our best life. I know that you will hear people, no matter who you're listening to, they're going to tell you the most important thing you can do in your life is dot, dot, dot. But what I want to tell you tonight is that the most important thing that you can do is heal. And that's why we have Heal With Me, because it's not just about you healing. Thank you so much. But it's about you answering the call of God on your life, because God has a call on your life. We were all put here with a purpose, but you specifically have a call. And when we're not healed, when we healing, for me, it stands for honesty, enlightenment, authenticity, and love. And when we give that to ourselves, we get to experience the heart life that I talk about: healing, enlightenment, authenticity, revitalization, and transformation. And I'm really intentional about that because I have benefited from the beauty of healing, right? I have benefited from the beauties of being able to look at some of the situations going on in my life and say, you know what, this isn't working for me. You know, I don't want to be sad and angry. A little bit about my testimony. Growing up, I grew up in a very loving family, but I didn't feel that love all the time. And so I felt very insecure. I felt very alone, right? I did not grow up feeling like I was close with my mother or my father. And so what I developed throughout my life was this spirit of independence, right? I got to figure it out. I got to do everything for myself because I never really felt like I could trust people with me. And that's been a lifelong struggle. So that's just a small portion of my testimony, but that's a big, like, it took me years to be able to explain that to you like that. But however, that is a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want us to be able to look at the narrative we're telling ourselves and see if that is one, the truth, and if that is really serving us to share that narrative like that. Many of us have been bruised and broken, have been disregarded, have been rejected, have been left behind, have been lied on, been cheated on, all of those things. But what did you do with that? Did you just suck it up and say, oh, like you like Duracell, will you just keep going and going and going? What do you just take a licking and keep on ticking? Like at some point in time, we have to decide this is not for me. This is not working for me. This is not going to be the life that I want to live. And that's why Heal With Me is here, because I want us to realize and have this perspective of knowing that life doesn't have to stay that way. It does not have to be that difficult. It does not have to hurt that bad. Right. And so I talk to a lot of people. And one of the things um that comes up a lot in my conversations, especially when I'm speaking out in public or when I'm coaching people privately, one thing that comes up is people saying, you know, I'm ready for love. You know, I'm ready for my $1,000,000. I'm ready for my new career. I'm ready to start my business. I'm ready to write my book. I'm ready to be happy. I'm ready to live my best life. I'm doing me. And we hear those things a lot. But the work that I do has shown me that we may intellectually think that we're ready. We may be able to verbally say that I'm ready, but when it's really time to live that life, when it's really time to be about what you're talking about, a lot of people can't do it. A lot of people can't make it, right? A lot of people can't stand to they can't stand up to the pressure of what it means to live a full, healthy life and what it means to live with an open heart. I hear a lot of women say, you know, I need my man to be real with me. I need my man to keep it real with me. But the truth of the matter is, if we're going to be real, right? If we're going to be real, the truth of the matter is, your heart isn't even open for somebody to love you like that because you've been hurt so much. So the thing that I want you to think about, the thing that I want you to consider as we go tonight is like, I want you to consider, one moment, y'all. trying to get some. So as we go through tonight, one of the things I want to here we go. All right, here we go. Back to that, guys. Okay. So what we do is we say, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for love. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the corner office. You know, I'm ready to get my story out there. I'm ready to save these kids. I'm ready to do all of these things, right? We're ready to do all of these things, but we really have not taken the time to see if our hearts are really ready to live this life that God has created us to live, right? It's one thing for us to what many people do, right? What most of us do is we say, "Oh, I'm tired of being down and depressed. You know, I'm tired of feeling this way." And oftentimes we don't physically say this to ourselves. These are thoughts and feelings that we have about ourselves, that we have towards our lives, and we think these thoughts of, you know, I have to do better. Or maybe this might make me feel better. Maybe if I get this degree, I will not be so insecure and I will love myself more. Maybe if I get married, I will have more confidence and I will know that people love me, even though I didn't feel that love growing up as a child. Maybe if I, you know, live in this place, people will think that I'm important, like everybody who lives there is, it seems like they're important, right? Many times in life, we are going about goals and achievements, but we are not going about these goals and achievements for the right reason, right? So what I want to talk to you tonight about is your heart ready for love? Is your heart ready for joy? Is your heart ready for success? Because we like to say we want success. We like to say we're ready for success, but the truth of the matter is it does not, the joy, the peace, the happiness, the love that you want in your relationship, it's not going to necessarily come from something external. And I know that that's not popular. That's not a popular thought process that many of us have. The culture that we're living in our world, in our country right now, that's not popular because right now we're the message that's being pushed is do more externally so that you can feel better on the inside. But it doesn't work like that. It's kind of like the old adage, you are what you eat, literally. So like if you eat a bunch of junk food, then you can't expect for your body to be but so healthy and for your body to give you all that you would want to get from your body, right? And it's the same thing with your heart. It's the same thing with your spirit. If you're not feeding your spirit, if you're not praying and reading your Bible and meditating and having conversations that speak of the goodness of God, then how could you expect your spirit to be strong enough to withhold some of the difficulties that are going to come at you in life? It's the same thing with your heart and your relationships, right? How can you expect your relationships to be well when your heart isn't well? And I'm not talking about the physical heart that's in your body, though I am talking about that heart as well. But I'm also talking about the mental, emotional heart that makes your soul, you know, what makes you you, your likes and your dislikes, the colors you like, the smells that you enjoy, the things that you don't care for, right? All of those things that make you you. You have to make sure that what you're putting into your heart is what you want to get out. And so tonight, I want to see, we're going to go through a checklist and we're going to see, is your heart ready for love? And I do have this checklist. I will share this afterwards. I will put this in the comments on YouTube and I'll also put this on Facebook. But what I want us to go over tonight is your heart ready for love? For those of you who would like to be able to see my screen, if you're looking on Facebook, there is a link. You can watch us live on YouTube, and then you'll be able to see more of the screen that I'm sharing and not just be able to see me or the side of my face while I'm speaking. But I want to go through this checklist tonight because I don't want you to wear yourself out anymore because you feel like, oh, I'm not smart enough. Or maybe, I graduated from high school, but, I couldn't go straight to college because my parents couldn't afford it. And I always felt bad about that. And I always felt like I was behind because of that. No, what about those of you who were maybe mistreated or abandoned as a child? And so you wrestle with, are you good enough to be loved? Are you good enough to be valued? Are you good enough for people to inconvenience themselves to support you, right? Is your heart open for love and success? Are you ready for joy? It's one thing to say you want it. That's just like, I don't know about you, but when I was a young person, I used to say something dumb like, I can't wait till I grow up and get out on my own. The dumbest thing I ever said in my life. But I thought with the experiences that I had in my life at that time, that I was ready to be out on my own and live on my own. And I didn't realize that though I had a taste of some things, it was completely different once I got out on my own. And you might be going through that as well. Like you might have been wishing for this child or praying for this child to come. And now you have this child, and being a parent isn't as easy or as joyful as you thought it could have been. Or maybe you were praying for this relationship and now you have the marriage or you have the relationship and now you don't want it. Now the person is a problem, right? Now the person is an issue. So tonight we're talking about, is your heart even ready for it? See, a lot of us are having issues with our significant others. We're having issues with our children. We're having issues in the workplace. We are having issues in our body because the truth of the matter is we are trying to take on things that our hearts are not prepared to take on. So I want to go through a quick checklist with you. And like I said, if you're live on Facebook, you can click the link and come over and go live on YouTube, or you can go to the Zoom link so that you can really be able to see, every, so that you can be able to see the heart checklist if you'd like to look along with me. So the first question is, do you have a fulfilling relationship with a higher power? So this checklist, just to recap, we're going to go over, is your heart ready and open for love and success? Is it? You say you want to be happy. And this is not for people who are like aspiring to be in relationships. Like I've been married for 10 years. This is also for people who are in relationships. You might have landed your dream job 20 years ago, but these questions still apply. When you hear this, I want you to answer honestly, yes or no, right? Answer honestly, yes or no. We're going to go through 11 questions. So get ready, get your notepad. We're going to go through this. So first question is, do you have a fulfilling relationship with a higher power? Do you? Yes or no? When I first started the healing process, my answer to this question was absolutely not. No. I knew God, I feared God, but I did not have a relationship with God. I knew God was real because God was the God of my grandmother. My grandmother talked to me about Jesus and taught me about Jesus since I was a little girl. But when I found myself at that breaking point, when I was 20 years old, I didn't have a fulfilling relationship with my higher power, with Jesus Christ at that time. But I had a spiritual encounter with Christ in my living room that really solidified and was the foundation of my relationship with God outside of my grandmother. Because I don't know about you, I had one of those grandmothers that I worshiped her and not God. Like I was just talking to my cousin today about how much I love my grandmother because my grandmother loved me like that. She never ever said things like, oh, your mama need to come and get you. I'm tired. I need a break. Like she might have felt that way, but she never said it. I mean, all she ever did was show us just love and affection. So when I thought about my relationship with God, I'm going to be honest, I never thought that God would love me the way my grandmother did. Now, I know that sounds backwards, but because I had developed this understanding of my higher power, Yahweh, right? I really thought that I was not good enough to go to him with my issues. I really thought that I was not adequate enough. Like I needed my grandmother to pray for me, or I needed some holy person at the church to pray for me because I couldn't do it myself because I was just a sinner. And that distorted way of seeing my savior really slowed me down with a lot of things in life that I missed out on a lot of joy and peace and fulfillment and success because I did not have a fulfilling relationship with the higher power. So the first question when you think about, is your heart open and ready for love and success? Do you have a fulfilling relationship with the higher power? I want you to ponder this because many of us think that we are our God. You didn't create yourself. You didn't come here by yourself. I know different people have their different beliefs. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but I'm telling you what I know. You were bought with a price. Your salvation was bought with a price. And if you don't have a fulfilling relationship, I can tell you, Jesus said, if you draw near to me, I will draw near to you. And I can testify that that is true. So if you want an open heart, if you want your heart open for love and success, see, a lot of you are like, what does this have to do with me getting money? What does this have to do with me being happy, getting a good man or getting a good woman? This has everything to do with it. Because if you don't understand the reason why, if you don't understand why you're here, if you don't understand your purpose and what God called you to do, then everything else you do in life is going to be distorted. It's going to be skewed. It's going to be messed up. You're going to find yourself connected with the wrong people, doing the wrong things because you're not where you're supposed to be. Why? Because you have not tapped in with your creator to get your instructions. So if you're not fulfilled in your relationships right now, your money not where you want it to be, and you don't have a fulfilling relationship with Christ, it's time to start building. It's time to start connecting. Let's go on. We're going to number two. Number two, do you embrace all of your flaws? Yes or no? Do you embrace all of your flaws? I ask this question because one thing I have found, if you want someone to love you and respect you and overlook some of your mishaps and discrepancies, you have to be willing to do that for yourself, and you have to be willing to do that for other people. Are you? I used to be very harsh and critical of other people. My opinion was very strong in a lot of situations, and that came primarily because I didn't have grace for myself. I didn't embrace my own flaws, so I definitely wasn't going to embrace yours. And it wasn't until I really embraced this healing, this heart process, the healing, enlightenment, authenticity, revitalization, and transformation, that I really start to see true changes in my life. But it wasn't until I embraced my flaws. It didn't mean that, it did not mean that, oh, I'm saying it's okay for me to be like this. It did not mean that I'm giving myself a pass. But what it did mean was beating myself down isn't going to help me. So do you? Do you embrace all your flaws? Or are you your biggest critic? How do you talk to yourself? What's your self-talk like? Are you harsh and critical when you're talking to yourself? Or are you loving and gentle? That has everything to do with you being successful in life. That has everything to do with your relationships being successful or failure. How do you talk to yourself? Y'all following along, right? You answering the questions. So remember the first one. Yes, that you're answering yes or no. Do you have a fulfilling relationship with the higher power? That's the first one. Yes or no. Do you embrace all of your flaws? Yes or no. That's the second one. Let's go to number 3. If you want to follow along with me, you can go to the link and it's in YouTube, or you can join us on Zoom if you want to follow along with the checklist and see it for yourself. Okay. Number 3, are you aware of your strengths and weaknesses? There was a time that I was too insecure to be able to tell you I don't know how to do something, especially if you are someone that I felt had some type of key to something that I needed unlocked in the future, right? So if I'm working on a new job and it's something I think I'm supposed to know, I would really try to figure it out before I try to ask for help. If I'm struggling with something in my personal life, before I would ask one of my friends or my family members to help me, many times I would wait until the last wire. I'm talking down to the last wire before I actually would ask for help, because I didn't really realize my strengths and weaknesses. I felt like anytime I acknowledged that I was weak at something, I was pretty much putting a target on my back for people to attack me. So my superpower was this false sense of strength and security. Like, I got it together. I can figure it out. I can do this. I can do that. And that really was draining, and it wore me out, and it really made me sick. And in business, it made my business struggle because I was trying to do everything, didn't want to delegate anything because I didn't really understand the difference between my strengths and my weaknesses. I thought if I had to do it, it's a strength of mine and I could do it. But what I missed out on, and what this healing process has taught me about, is the fact that God has put us on this earth to be a blessing to one another. When I realize my own strengths and weaknesses, then I can honestly be a lot more effective and operate in my strengths a lot more, because I have a chance to receive help with my weaknesses. But if I'm not aware of what my strengths and weaknesses are, how can I get support in the areas where I'm weak? How can I polish and fortify the areas of my strength if I have not taken the time to decipher between my life? See, what I'm trying to get you to realize is, whether you're in a relationship or not, you might be working your dream job or in your dream business or not, there are some things that you need to pay attention to. Even if you're okay now, there are some things that you need to pay attention to if you want to make sure that you're living your best life. Now, if you're living your best life, this isn't for you. This really isn't for you. But if you are somebody that is tired of putting up a front, like you're trying to convince yourself that you're happy and you're not happy. You're trying to convince yourself you're living on purpose. You're not living on purpose. You're trying to convince yourself that you're okay and you are not okay. Then this checklist is for you. And you need to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Because knowing that puts you in position to live a better life. It allows you to receive the help, like I said, that you need. And it also allows you to show up and be that person that you are, that, it. But that'll never happen if you don't acknowledge what your strengths and weaknesses are. Let's keep moving. Number 4, yes or no? Do you easily trust others? Are you a naturally trusting person? Or are you the type of person that's skeptical and somebody has to pretty much write their name in blood for you to believe anything that they have to say? Which one? Which one are you? And if you are someone that said, no, you don't easily trust others, my next question would be why? Because if you don't easily trust others, there's a very good chance that your heart is not open for love and success. Because love and success are going to require you to open up and trust people and situations that you would typically not, because being open for love and success means you have to be vulnerable. And many of us don't want to be vulnerable. Many of us don't want to say how we really feel, and we don't really want to show up. We will show up and help people, but I'm gonna be in the background. Like I'm a show you my mask, but you will never see the real face that's behind. What I'm telling you is, if you want to live the life that God called you to live, if you want to experience that love, if you want to experience that success, you're gonna have to learn how to trust others. If that's a struggle for you, your heart isn't ready for love and success. So if you're living in something right now that it may look like love and success, but if you're not trusting, you're skeptical of everybody, you can't enjoy it. And if you can't enjoy it, what do you have it for? The Bible tells us that Satan came to steal, kill, and destroy. Many of us do not realize we are living in our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents' dreams. Beautiful homes, nice cars, educated, everything looks great on paper, but miserable on the inside. That, listen, the enemy, that's all the devil wants. It's not about us not having things. God, he does not want us to enjoy them. And what I'm talking about tonight is not that. I get that on the surface, you might have it all together, but I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to, the one that cries at night and cries in the shower because you don't want people to know how you really feel. You even contemplate, so nobody knows, you contemplate running away sometime. What would life be like if you just didn't look back? But other people idolize your life. They love it. They wish they could be like you. Meanwhile, you don't embrace your flaws. You don't trust people. You're afraid to admit your weaknesses because you feel like if people knew where you were weak, you would fall off or they would come and attack you, try to take your spot. That's not life. That's not true living. That's not why Jesus died on the cross for us. So I'm just going through this checklist because I really want you to do an inventory of your heart right now. Let's keep going. When upset or frustrated, do you express your feelings honestly? Yes or no? When upset or frustrated, do you express your feelings honestly? That is a big one. That was a big one for me. Growing up, I adopted the mentality that I can't ever tell people how I really feel. Because if I tell them how I really feel, they're going to get angry with me. They're going to stop talking to me. They're going to tell on me or betray my trust in some way. Or they're going to disregard me and act like they never heard what I said. So what I did was I kind of adapted this mentality. I was never really truthful about how I felt. But I don't have a poker face. So if I'm upset, you usually can look and tell. I've been working on that. But you know, I'm one of those people that, what do they say? I carry my feelings on my sleeve. So if I'm in a, well, for the most part, if I'm having a good day, you can kind of tell. And if I'm not, you can tell. But I learned from environmental cues at a young age that you don't tell the truth about how you feel because you want others to feel better. So I didn't want my mother to know how I really felt because I didn't want her to be angry with me. And then her being angry with me, and then she'd be silent and then maybe not communicate with me, and now I don't feel the love. So I would much rather just don't say nothing and just stuff it all inside because I didn't want to jeopardize losing that love. What if it's not expressed at all? How do you suggest to properly express or communicate in that moment? That's a great question. The question is, what if when you're upset or frustrated, your feelings aren't expressed at all? How do you express those feelings in the moment? Hi, Ashley. Good evening. I think what I would say is, with this question, let me give this caveat. When upset or frustrated, do you express your feelings? So there may be times in the moment, like in the heat of the moment, that going through the full expression of how you feel and how you process that might not be the best at that time. I feel like we have to feel it out situation by situation. However, I do believe that it doesn't matter what the situation is. If you can come to some type of resolve, do it. Now, many people are in relationships where one person is usually the one that is more expressive of how they feel, and the other one isn't. So one person is willing to tell you how they feel all the time, and the other person may never tell you. You don't know. You just have to figure it out. So you have to, this is how I handle situations like that. I pray and I ask God to help me and guide me in how I express my feelings to someone. One thing I have had a history of doing, because I was so prone to suppressing my feelings. When I finally got to the place where I let it out, it came out in a form of anger. And a lot of times when it comes out like anger, people don't take you seriously. They disregard you. Well, she just mad. She just upset. She didn't really mean that, but you did. So I believe that when we have situations that are going on, no, we there it might not always be the best to express how you feel in the moment. You just have to see where you are. However, you do have to express how you feel, and you can't let it go on for too long. So if this is like an acute thing, like if you're like if you're dealing with a child, and it, for example, if I'm upset with my 5-year-old for sticking something in a socket because they didn't know any better, I'm not going to get upset with them and walk away and don't address it right away so that they know what I'm talking about. However, I might be having a conversation with one of my teenagers, and the conversation can get heated, and maybe I need to walk away and calm down and come back and express, this is why I said what I said. This is what I was feeling. When you said this, I felt that, and this is why I responded like that. And if an apology is necessary or needed, then it can be included. Not making excuses for what you did, but explaining. Because what I have found is that when we let people know how we feel and what's triggering that thought, a lot of times we feel better. It doesn't necessarily have to control their actions, but we feel a lot better because we've been honest to our own hearts. The only reason why I'm asking this is because so many times we betray ourselves thinking we're being loyal to others because we know the weight of what we're carrying when we're thinking about expressing our true feelings. So oftentimes we carry that burden and don't tell people because it's like, oh, I don't want to hurt them, or I don't want to shake up, stir up the pot, or ruffle any feathers. But the truth of the matter is, it's killing you from the inside. Yes. And it can be very scary to be vulnerable. But I am a big proponent of vulnerability. I believe that vulnerability is what is going to transform our relationships. We have to start telling each other how we really feel. And we can't worry about what that person is going to think about our honest thoughts and feelings, because on the table, it is what it is. This is where I am. I use this example because I'm not afraid to share it, though it doesn't always sound good, but I like to use this example because a lot of people can relate to this and a lot of people can get it, but a lot of people won't be honest and say that they felt like how I felt. So when my oldest was in high school, I would say middle school is 3 years here. So I would say middle school, going into high school, but she's always been into playing video games. My husband and my daughter have always played video games. Our oldest girl, she likes video games. She played video games with her daddy, and that was always their thing ever since she was little, 3 years old. She's been playing these video games. So she started to get older, and me being a young mother, or I don't think it matters the age of the parent, because parenting can just be a doozy. Just trying to do it right can be it can pull a lot out of you when you really care about how you're raising your kids. So my daughter was getting older, and we were starting to bump heads. And I hear women talk about not getting along with their daughters and that relationship or whatever. Either they're really close, or it's like, I can't stand this girl, come get her out of my house. And so she and I were kind of going back and forth, but the two of them seemed like they were fine. Her and her daddy, they were fine. My husband and my daughter, they're fine, right? But me and my daughter are not as fine. And then there were times where I felt like me and him were not as fine or on the same page. But at any given time, I could come in the den and catch them playing a video game together. Now, they might not have had many words for me that day, but if I walk in the den, they're out here talking trash, they laughing, they tripping, playing the game together. So I noticed myself getting a little jealous. And I didn't want to acknowledge that I was jealous of the relationship that my daughter has with her daddy, which is my husband. A lot of mothers feel that way. They'll never admit it, but you can see it in the relationships, right? So I prayed about it, and thank God for my circle and just the conversations I was having. And I was really so committed to this whole idea of healing, right? So I prayed about it, and I said, you know what? I got to talk to them about it. So one day I went out, and they were in the den playing the game. And I told my daughter, I said, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I said, I was a little jealous of you and daddy playing a game together, because I felt like me and you can't get along for 5 minutes, and you and daddy can sit and play the video game for hours. And she just kind of laughed at me. And when I said it, it felt like that jealousy lifted off of me. But I had to make myself vulnerable and expose who I really was, and not my representative, right? The representative is the mother that wants to act like she never gets jealous and never intimidated by anybody else with her kids. But the truth of the matter is, I wrestle with a lot of insecurity when it comes to connecting with my kids. Am I being a good enough mom? Am I being there for them enough? Am I disciplining enough? Am I being too hard? Am I being too soft? I mean, maybe I'm the only parent that has ever gone through that. However, those were the things that I was struggling with. And so all of that stuff kind of culminated to me being jealous, because I had not really taken the time to find that space where me and her could connect like that again, because she was a bigger girl at that time. So the things we did when she was little, she didn't want to do that anymore. Same thing with my husband. The things that we did earlier in our relationship, we were now having to do new things. And I saw the two of them seeming to gel so seamlessly. But if I say, hey, I want my marriage to go to the next level, I want my relationship with my children to go to the next level, a deeper level of intimacy and joy and happiness, I can't get there if my heart not open, if I'm not willing to tell the truth about how I feel right now. How could we ever strengthen this bond if I won't be truthful about how I feel about the bond right now? So I that story is always dear to me, because I saw the power of God when we pray and ask for help. I also saw the power of being vulnerable, and how when I honestly express my feelings, how the Lord removed that burden, like lifted that fog But see, my heart wasn't open in some areas. That particular situation showed me some blockages I still had in my heart when it came to my parents, when it came to my career, when it came to my insecurities about my career, about my higher education, just insecurities about me, how I look, just how I show up in the world. If we're not willing to honestly express our feelings, we're never going to get the love and success that we are hoping and dreaming and working so hard to get. Let's keep moving. Next question. Are you comfortable with receiving affection? Are you comfortable with receiving affection? Yes or no? Can people hug you? Can people kiss you or tell you they love you without you cringing up, without you pushing them away? Do you tell people you love them, right? Do you write letters? How do you show affection? Does it make you uncomfortable to receive affection? This is big. I hear a lot of people say, I don't need all that. I understand your love language might not be physical touch, but if you are a human being and not a reptile, then your brain, you are wired to need some type of affection and love. I'm so sick and tired of women, especially, acting like they don't need affection or love, and men too. I'm sick of it. But then we don't mind being sexual, but we don't want to show real affection. And I believe that I don't even have time to unpack that right now. That'll be a Heal With Me topic for another time. But it amazes me how people can be so physically intimate with people that they would never show affection to. That's a sign of a heart that's not open. So let's keep going. Are you comfortable with receiving affection? There's just a couple things to think about. I don't know the specific study, but you can research it yourself. Newborns that are born premature, especially those that are born grossly premature, I think have they are 2 or 3 times more likely to survive when they have family members that come and hold them and show them affection. So they actually have volunteers that go into NICUs and just hold babies. Some parents have to work, some parents not there, but they literally will just go in there and hold babies. See, babies haven't been, what's the word I'm looking for? Conditioned to the way of this world. Babies haven't been conditioned to your mama or your daddy or the family that raised you. Babies know they need love and affection. Why you like to act like you don't? I'm trying to figure this out. But this is another reason how we know our hearts aren't open to love and affection. If the only time you get affection is if it's intercourse, your heart isn't ready for love and success. It might be lust. That's not love. Not true. We're going to keep going. Next question. Do you willingly forgive when you've been wronged? Forgiveness. Woo, that's step 4, my 6th step, divine heart transplant process. That's usually the step when my clients are like, I don't know if I can make it through the next 2 steps. I don't know if I like you, Adelai. I don't know if I want to work with you. Who do you think you are telling me this stuff about myself? All we're talking about is forgiveness. If you have trouble forgiving, then that might be a sign your heart is not open for love and success. I know that we all have situations that we have gone through. I know that we all have been hurt, we've been wrong, we've been mistreated. Many of us have been abused, abandoned, everything bad that starts with an A. But none of that justifies not forgiving. And I've heard it said like this, and I'm going to say this to you. Not forgiving someone is like you drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. If you're not willing to forgive, then I'm telling you, your heart isn't ready for love and success. Next question. Do you take care of your needs before caring for others? Do you take care of your needs before caring for others? Many of us have this disease to please. We feel like we are supposed to save everybody else. and we usually leave ourselves falling in shambles. You are supposed to serve from your overflow, not from your cup. You have to invest time and energy in doing what God has called you to do. You were put here to glorify God. That's your purpose. Shout out, coach. That fire coach. But you've been called to do something that I wasn't called to say. I was called to do this. That's why I'm doing this. I'm going to do this whether y'all get on here or not. I'm going to do this because I know this is a part of what I've been called to do. What have you been called to do? Do you know that caring for others before you care for yourself can get in the way of you being able to really care for those people the way God has intended for you to? A lot of times we are serving from an empty cup and wonder why we feel so depleted. If you are caring for others before you care for yourself, that is a sign that your heart is not ready for love and success, not the type that you dream and desire for. 3 more. Let's do it. We're almost done. Do you like to work with others? Do you like to work with others? I know some of us have been called to be loners. I get that. I won't deny that. However, if you are alive on this planet, God has called you to live amongst others in some way, shape, or form. You have to work with them. It might not be your physical job. It could be work in the community. It could be work in the church. It could be work wherever. Do you like to work with others? Yes or no? If you don't, how you gonna be open for love and you don't even like working with people? What you think you're gonna do in your marriage? What do you think marriage is? If you're gonna be successful, you think you're gonna be successful just all by yourself? Let's think about that. Do you like to work with others? Next question. Do you receive compliments well? Do you receive compliments well? That's a good one. It is amazing to me how many beautiful men and women don't think they're beautiful. And I am working on this with the compliments. When people compliment you, accept it. Just tell them thank you. You don't have to say, oh, this whole thing. Oh, you sure? They took the time to compliment you, accept it. But if you can't accept the compliment, if you have to tell them how, you know, all the reasons why they shouldn't be complimenting you, that's a sign that your heart is not open for love and success. And I know y'all might be thinking, how does this have anything to do with my money or my honey? It has everything to do with your money and your honey. Because if you don't get these things taken care of, it doesn't matter if you get money and honey, you won't be able to enjoy them. We got to get your heart right. So do you receive compliments well? Last question. Do you have a regular emotional wellness routine? Examples. Do you go to therapy? You have a life coach, you have counseling, meditation, yoga, some type of support group, a book club. What do you do to regularly keep your heart in check? Not cardio, like the physical workout for your physical heart. You might have that in check, but I'm talking about what are you doing for your soul? What are you doing for your emotions? What are you doing for your thoughts? Do you have a regular emotional wellness routine? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then maybe your heart is not ready for love and success. Now, I've gone through these 11 questions, and I really encourage you to ponder them. What I'm going to do is I am going to share this information. If you'd like to do the heart checklist yourself and see if your heart is ready for love and success, I encourage you to. I will send this directly to your email because I want you to get the most out of it. So if you want to do the heart checklist for yourself, I would love for you to do that. And I would also love to talk to you about your results afterwards. I have a great program, a nice self-paced course, Trust the Process, that I know will help you not only get in line with figuring out if your heart is ready for love and success, but it's also going to help you get your heart right. and help you tell yourself the truth so you can answer the call of God in your life. We can't play anymore. You've invested in all these other things and you still feel the way you feel now. It's time for you to invest some time and energy and effort into making sure that your heart is right so that the rest of your life can thrive. Because when I started healing and working on my heart, it started changing everything. And the more I would be vulnerable and tell people the truth, even if sometimes I have to close my eyes and brace myself, I could sleep better at night. I didn't know the type of peace that would come after telling the truth on a lie that I have been telling for years. You know that lie when people ask you if you okay and you say yeah when you know you're not. Sometimes people get mad at you for telling the truth when they ask, how are you? But what I have learned, and the Bible tells us this, the truth will set you free. It might hurt, but the truth will set you free. So if you did not answer yes to every question on this heart checklist, I encourage you to set up a heart strategy session with me. Let's talk about how we can get it to where you can answer yes to all of these questions, as well as yes to the call that God has on your life, as well as yes to all the joy and the peace that you need. I just was telling my best friend, it doesn't matter. No, my life isn't perfect, but I am so thankful for where I am now. I am thankful for the peace of mind, that an open heart, how my business has grown, how my relationships have really been being fortified and just nurtured and just blossoming, all because I was willing to be vulnerable and do the work and allow my heart to open. And I just want that for you. I really do. Go to the website, theheartconnections.com. You can do the heart checklist there. If you go to the website, the heart checklist is on the website, theheartconnections.com. Ask yourself these questions. Is your heart ready for love and success? Is that why your relationships aren't going well? Is that why maybe your children and you aren't where you need to be? You're not where you want to be with your parents? I talked about this last week, but I talked to my dad this past Father's Day. And if those of you read the book, or if any of you know anything about the history with me and my father, then you will know that I used to hate him. I really did. But what I had to realize was it wasn't until I healed my heart that my life started to transform. And I want that for you. When I talked to him, it was just such a blessing because it felt good. I talked to him on Father's Day. I go see him on Father's Day. But this year, it was something different in my heart. I wasn't carrying that anxiety. I wasn't worried about, well, he didn't call me, but he called somebody else. I wasn't worried about that anymore because my heart is open and therefore my heart can heal. It's time to remove the blockage. If you want to do the heart checklist, go to my website, theheartconnections.com, theheartconnections.com. Do the heart checklist and then schedule a heart session so I can talk to you about how I can walk you through this process of confronting those matters of your heart that may have your heart blocked, telling yourself the truth, and then not only doing that, answering the call on your life. Because the truth of the matter is you have work to do. And the insecurities, the not knowing the truth about yourself, the doubting yourself, the hidden traumas that you've been trying to stuff down, all of that stuff is in the way of you living the life God called you to live. And I feel like I've been sent here to help you get that work done. So go to my website, go do the heart checklist, schedule you a heart discovery session. I would love to chat with you. It is time for us to get this work done. Remember, share this information with everyone you know. Every Monday night at 8 o'clock, we are on Heal With Me. And I'm so thankful for it. And I'm so thankful for y'all. I thank y'all for being here. Remember, go to the website, theheartconnections.com, and do your heart checklist and find out, is your heart ready for love? Is it ready for joy? Is it ready for success? I don't know. But if it's not, the heart coach is here and I'm ready to help you get there. Remember, if you heal your heart, you transform your life. I love y'all. Signing out.